Hey guys, this is going to change the way that you do every single software development project that you roll out from here on out. In fact, I think it's going to change the way that anyone really rolls out any business that they do. Well, I think this information is essential, which I know is a big call. I'm Lambros from Station 5, and this is Mike Hamilton again, who joined us in our last video. Mike, I want to talk to you about the importance of a focus group, not just in software development, but also in kind of any business that anyone really embarks on, especially in the early stages, but also later on. It's a big one.
Oh, gee, bloody oath it is. I'll tell you what. But yeah, look, focus groups for me are a critical part now of any business cultural landscape. It's not just software development anymore. It's what other businesses and industries do. So, for example, if you're McDonald's, I know in Adelaide they practice a lot of family, or at least a lot of upcoming products or services in their restaurants down there. So, select restaurants to see if they're good enough to be launched to the rest of Australia. In Newcastle, if they're launching let's say, 20 to 24-year-old or 18 to 24-year-old market, they'll go and test a new burger or some sort of thing on that market there before they launch it out to everywhere else in Australia, or sometimes the world. Sometimes I know just McDonald's have done that, tested international products here in Australia.
Yeah. So effectively, the whole idea of focus group is what you're saying is an extremely small version of what the end target market will be.
Yeah.
And what's the purpose there? What's the gain?
I like that. Well, in being software testing, what I do is lowering the risk of failure, and that's what they're doing. You know, and that's not the IT thing. They're doing that just to make sure they can test and get some feedback from the market to say, do we pursue this? Because if you're in from McDonald's, you're going to spend a lot of money on advertising and marketing and everything else that goes with that. They don't want to go and roll out all that money and spend it.
Or they'll refine.
It's going to fail. Yeah, refine.
They won't necessarily abandon it, but they may refine.
They might take the beetroot out of the burger because someone hated the beetroot or something, you know?
Yeah, I know.
But that one little thing can make a huge difference to having a successful campaign. And that's a prime example or generic example of what to do. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, perfect. So, I mean, in terms of, obviously you were saying that larger scale, something like McDonald's, obviously, you know, you're giving up a huge marketing budget if you just shoot forward with a product straight away. Now, obviously, on a smaller scale, we're talking about in the last video, the importance of not just, you know, putting all your eggs into one basket and investing a huge amount of money. Michael here was talking about the importance of kind of investing 2,000 to 4,000 Australian dollars into a software development project in the early stages and not taking on external funding. Can you tell us perhaps a bit more about obviously the smaller organization in the software development field as opposed to just any industry? The smaller organization, how can they really create a focus group, and what value is that going to add to their product or service?
It's great. There's two types of groups. You can get them more than two, but there's two types of thinking or ways of thinking that I go about. Number one is you might go with a certain demographic, maybe a 25 to 30-year-old market that might be targeting with an app, especially on the phones. You might, depending on the type of product or service you have, you might need to get a huge spread of your focus group, maybe from the 20-year-olds to 30s, maybe someone in their 40s, maybe someone in their 60s, depending on what sort of thing you're doing, right? But majority of the time, you want to focus on a niche. So you want to look at someone who's 25 to 30 and get a group of people, maybe in a local community in one suburb, a town, a village, for example, and you want to actually get them become your focus group. Because when you can target those guys, you can actually practice on them and refine your product or your service or your app in IT that you're trying to build. Now that could be 5 people, for example, it could be 10 people. With these marketing sampling that you do, sometimes just getting 10 people is enough. It actually represents 80. Sometimes you get the same feedback from 10 people as you would with 80 to refine it. And that's what it's all about. It's about building a small group that you can roll something out to quickly over an hour or 2 or maybe 3 hours and get them to validate your idea and do it quickly. We're talking about something today when a lot of people try and scale so quickly, they try and do A to Z so quickly, when what you should do is A to B and do something very small and then test it and refine it. Then you can go on and refine it from there. And that's very important to think that way because you're not going to waste a lot of money.
Exactly.
So,
yeah. I mean, one thing that we always try and get across here with any software development project where you roll out, and one that we've kind of, I guess, seen a lot of our clients execute is the idea of working within your existing network. You don't need to go out to 101 networking events to potentially gather a focus group and pay them an arm and a leg. The idea is that you can generally roll out within your friends, families, or extended networks, friends of friends, second connections, if you will, if you want to use LinkedIn terminology. But the idea is that if we can, if you can focus within people who are within your own physical network, it works very well because there's that initial trust built. There's going to be an honesty between them and you, which is really what you need. You need that harsh criticism at the start to learn a lot about your product.
No, it's exactly right. And sometimes just getting family members and extended family does help. It's easier to get them organised, get them into your house, for example, for a dinner, and then look at a product after dinner or something like that, test something out. It just gets that honesty very quickly. We talked about the other week, I remember another video, was that you might have for 1 or 2 hours, you might have people come in. You might do it once a week while you're developing a product for 6 to 8 weeks. You might get somebody in every week or a group in every week to validate.
Give them a movie ticket.
Yeah, movie tickets and vouchers or something, right? But you get them in every week to help refine what you're doing. Now, it could be for a breakfast for 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock on a Wednesday. Or maybe for 1 hour. But at least they're there with your development team, the designers, everyone who's involved with the software development process is all there, and they're all engaging and interacting with each other.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And everyone's involved.
Yeah, exactly. And it gives them ownership too.
Exactly. And it's old school, like having been part of the IT industry for 15 or so years, everybody will come in and use old methods of doing stuff. Like a client might go, I want a software project built. Here you go. Here's the brief. Go away and build it. And come back 3 months later. You know what I mean? And then they go, oh, that's not what I wanted. And then they don't want to pay you, or they're upset and angry. Now those days are gone. You've got the business, the client, the users, they all have to get involved earlier.
Yeah.
It's just standard approach.
Mitigates the risk.
Oh, mitigating risk is the highest thing to do.
Yeah.
Sounds
All right,
interesting.
let's wrap it up there before we take up too much of your time. But Mike Hamilton here and Lambros from Station 5. If you've got any questions, just post them down below. I'll make sure Mike keeps track of the Facebook page and scours it every so often for your questions. And let us know if you've got any questions and we'll go from there. Cheers, guys.
Thank you.